All right, we are live and recording. So, hope you guys are having a great day so far, a great week so far. So, feel like it's been a little bit of a hiatus since I've been sitting down talking with you guys. I think I can't remember if I went live last week. I think I did to kind of announce all the really cool announcements regarding the iThrive Collective and the new workout app that we're going to be using for all of the workouts, the 7-day free trial you can get. So you can kind of try everything out and see if you like being inside of the group, getting those workouts in the app before you actually start getting charged for it, which is really cool. One-on-one clients have been crushing it too, doing a lot of really cool stuff with one-on-one clients lately with calls, making sure we have the next few months mapped out with them over the holidays and the new year, all this stuff. And then last week was really crazy. Last week, my son, he had an ear infection, so we kept him home from daycare for a few days last week. So normally Wednesday, Thursday, Friday is like they're pretty open days for me, other than just calls and content stuff and doing these types of things, these Facebook Lives and podcasts and all that. But a lot of that time got cut short for me because he was home. So when he was not napping or he wasn't sleeping in the morning, I was taking care of him. So it was a really busy week last week. So it feels good that he's feeling better back at daycare and that I can get back to doing a little bit more of this stuff for you guys. And really crazy, honestly, couple of months of November and December with, man, it's my wife and I, Brittany, we were talking, and we literally have something literally every single weekend until pretty much Christmas. Like this weekend, Aiden's birthday party. Next weekend, we are going to be leaving for vacation, and then we get back that weekend. So that weekend's kind of shot. The next week after that is, I think that's Thanksgiving weekend. And then the weekend after that, we have another friend's kid's birthday party. A weekend after that, another kid's friend's birthday party. And then I think by the time we get there, I think it's like December 21st that weekend, which I don't think we have anything planned there, but obviously Christmas is right around the corner. So a really busy couple of months to end the year, but all really good stuff. So wanted to come on here, and it's this topic kind of relates, I guess, to what I just kind of described with how busy the end of the year is, which, if you're listening to this, watching this, the end of the year might feel really busy for you too. And I wanted to talk about if it's a waste of time to start your fitness journey or your fat loss journey right now. Like November, first week of November now, is it worth doing this and potentially dealing with some, obstacles along the way when it comes to your fitness or fat loss journey? Or is it better to just honestly wait until January, until the holidays are over with, things die down, the new year starts, everyone's motivated? Is it better to start then? So that's what we're going to talk about today. Because I think it's an important conversation, because I have a lot of conversations with you guys about this, whether it's through Facebook Messenger, Instagram Messenger. Maybe it's somebody, you're somebody who I've scheduled a call with for a one-on-one call with to see if one-on-one coaching is for you, or even the collective. And, we've had conversations back and forth, and, in your mind, you might be thinking, hey, wait until January makes more sense. The holidays, maybe even finances, we're busy, travel, all this stuff. I'm going to wait off until I can really put my all into it. And that might be right with what you're thinking. And I'm going to tell you why I wouldn't recommend that approach. And you're going to think, oh, I'm a fitness coach. Like, I have a business. I have the collective, the group membership. I have, one-on-one clients. Obviously, Joey's going to say, hey, get started now. So, you can sign up more clients. But that's not what this is. Like, my client roster is pretty much full. Do I have a few open spots? Yeah. But is there this push to sign on a bunch of new clients right now? No. Like, if I don't sign on any new clients for the rest of the year, like, it's totally fine. Or even if people don't join the iThrive Collective, by the end of the year, like, I want to see you guys join and succeed, because I know how much you can get out of it. But for me, like, personally, as a business sense, like, it's not what this is about. This is about you just feeling your best, getting healthier, and not wasting super valuable time. And why this is honestly one of the best times to start. And you're going to be like, Of course he's saying that. But seriously, after going through these points that I have some notes on, I think you're going to understand where I'm coming from. So, number one is why this is such a good time to get started is because if you're watching or listening to this, you likely are not ready to go into a fat loss phase. Like if you have a fat loss or a weight loss goal, you likely are not ready to just jump into a calorie deficit, jump into a fat loss phase and see success from it. You probably have been just sporadically eating low calories, high calories off and on, probably sporadically eating low calorie or low protein, high protein off and on without really consistently eating a certain amount of food. So your metabolism is probably just really all over the place. And the first thing we want to do before entering a fat loss phase, if we want to see the most success with that fat loss phase, is building our calories up so our body is used to consistently eating the highest amount of food we can without spilling over and gaining body fat. And that's the first phase that I take all of my clients through is, and what I call it is the priming phase, which you've probably heard me talk about, which is where I see where their current calorie intake is at. And then we build up, if they are currently under eating, we build up to their approximate maintenance level. And then we stay there for probably a couple of weeks at their maintenance level to make sure their body is kind of really settled into eating that amount of food. And is this step required to enter a fat loss phase? It's probably not required. You probably could enter a fat loss phase right away and probably see some fat loss, but your fat loss is going to be much better if you do this phase first because you're basically training your body to adapt to the higher calories you're giving it, and also to train your body to burn a certain amount of calories per day. And now there's a limit to this. You can't just exponentially increase your calorie intake. Like I couldn't increase my calorie intake from 3,000 to 4,000 and my body just exponentially adapt to that. It doesn't happen that way. But if you are under eating a little bit, your metabolism is probably a little bit down regulated. And by building your calories up a little bit, it can help to put your body in a spot where it's burning a little bit more calories than what it previously was. And then you go into a fat loss phase and you see better fat loss progress from that. So that's reason number one, is that you probably need this phase of increasing calories first anyway. So why not do that phase during these next 1 to 2 months where you're probably going to have more access to tastier food, more access to high calorie food. You're going to want to kind of eat more of that comfort food. And it's going to actually make that process of eating a little bit more food like actually more doable and easier versus holding off and waiting until January. And if you do things the right way and you do this priming phase first, now when January comes and you're like motivated and ready to start a fat loss phase, bring calories down, you're ready to be hungry, you're ready to push for that kind of goal. Now, if you do it the right way, you're going to have 1 to 2 months to build your calories up anyway. At least that's what I would have you do. Like if you signed on as a one-on-one client right now, we could build your calories up over the next 1 to 2 months, get you ready to start the fat loss phase, all hands on deck, or get you ready to roll there and start fat loss phase and then be super seamless in January. But if you wait until January and just hypothetically saying, you wait to be a one-on-one client until then, now we have to spend the first 1 to 2 months building your calorie intake up. Even on the short end of this, it's probably going to take about 4 weeks to kind of get the process down and get you, make sure you're cleared and ready to start a fat loss phase to see success. So you're kind of eliminating that first step that pushes you towards eating a little bit more food and delaying fat loss anyway. You're doing it during the time of the year where it makes the most sense. So practically, this is the perfect time to start that priming phase. Another reason is that you probably don't have the foundation of habits that you need to see success with the fat loss phase anyway. We need to have a few things in check to see a lot of success with fat loss. The way I approach it with my clients, if you want to do it your own way, then, by all means do it that way. But the way I approach it with my clients, if you see my client results that I post in here and you're like, I want results that are consistent and good like that, this is how you want to approach it. You want to have these foundational habits in place. You want to be getting at least 8,000 steps per day. 8,000 is kind of the benchmark I have all my clients aim for in a priming phase or a maintenance phase. 8,000 steps per day. We want to be consistently lifting weights probably roughly 3 times per week. At minimum, 3 to 4 times a week is a good range. Some clients are at 5, some clients are at 2, but 3 to 4 times per week consistently is like a good benchmark to aim for. So we want to have that habit down, and we want to be consistent with it, like consistent 90% of the time. Obviously, there will be some weeks here and there maybe where like you don't quite get in all of your workouts. And if it's happening, maybe, once every few weeks, once a month, not a huge deal. But if it's happening every single week, you're missing a workout, then that's consistency we have to work on. So, but that's one habit that we want to work on before starting a fat loss phase, is consistently being able to hit our scheduled workouts that we have, whether it's 3 times a week, 4 times a week, 5 times a week. We want to consistently be able to hit those 90% of the time. Third habit we want to have in place is eating the proper amount of protein. So that could be 120 grams for you, could be 150 grams for you, could be 100 grams depending on your body size, current muscle mass, all that stuff. But we want to have a really consistent protein intake down. We also want to have a consistent calorie intake down. So we don't want our calories to be some days at 2,500, some days at 1,500, some days at 3,000, some days at 1,200. Like, we don't want them all over the place. We want to have a consistent level and be able to consciously hit a consistent level of calories too. We want to be tracking our food and be able and have the knowledge and skills to be like, okay, like my calorie goal is 200 calories higher. This is how I'm going to easily hit that extra 200 calories. Or my calorie goal is 200 calories lower. This is how I'm going to adjust. Like, we want to have those skills in place, because if we go into a fat loss phase and, you give yourself a calorie goal for your fat loss range, or I do, if you're a one-on-one client, but you don't know how to like make those adjustments, and you don't know anything about food or food tracking to like, okay, how do I even take away 200 calories? Then you're going to be in a really difficult spot. Fifth habit is that we want to have accurate tracking down, and we want to learn the skill of how to accurately track your food. So many people have tried food tracking in the past, but they've never really had proper instruction of how to do it the right way, or maybe even just support of how to do it the right way. Like, you kind of are in a groove, you're kind of doing it, and you think you're doing it accurately, but there are some questions you have, and you have never had a reliable person to go to ask those questions of, okay, do I like weigh raw or cooked meat like this or that, or rice, this and that, and also how to go about tracking restaurant meals and estimating those types of things. So this is a skill in of itself that you want to be able to build before entering a fat loss phase, is the act of accurately tracking your food, into where if you put that you ate 1,700 calories on your food log, that's actually within like 10%, probably even less than that, within like 5%, is actually what you consumed. And once you get that down, then those 5 habits, then you're in a really good spot to actually enter a fat loss phase and be able to adjust your calories, and immediately within a couple of weeks notice, okay, like this formula is working exactly how I would predict it. So these 5 habits, it's much easier to build those 5 habits of consistency with workouts, with steps, with protein, with calories, with learning how to track your food. It's much easier to do those things when you're not in a fat loss phase. Because when you're in a fat loss phase, you're intentionally trying to eat less than what you burn. So your hunger is going to be a little bit higher. So you're going to have this kind of these lingering thoughts about food, maybe a little bit of extra cravings, because your just calories are lower than what your body's burning, and your body senses that. And that's going to make it more difficult to build these 5 habits down if you don't have them down before you start. So that's another reason. And it's much easier to build these 5 habits eating at calorie maintenance, where like, your overall goal isn't necessarily, okay, I need to see a pound of fat loss per week for me to be happy. My overall goal is, let me just build this foundation. Let me build these habits. And then once I have these habits down, then I'll put my foot on the gas a little bit more to go into a fat loss phase. So that really helps too. Another really big benefit of starting your fat loss or fitness journey now is that by doing this priming phase, building your calories up first, and by focusing on just these foundational habits before trying to force fat loss, it gives you the opportunity to spend these next couple of months really building some quality muscle underneath. You might think that, hey, I have enough muscle. I don't really want to build any more muscle. I don't want to get quote unquote bulky. But I guarantee 75% of you If you have a goal body in mind of, okay, I want my legs to look like this, I want my arms to look like this, I want my glutes to look more toned or shape, you probably need to build more muscle than what you have on your frame. And this time period of eating a little bit more food, focusing on these foundational habits, allows you a couple of months to actually build more muscle. When we try to force our body into a fat loss phase, eat less calories than what we burn, it is possible to build some muscle during that phase, but your muscle building potential will be a little bit less when your calories are lower in a fat loss phase versus when they are kind of geared towards more maintenance and you're eating a little bit more. So not only can you build these foundational habits, not only can you get this priming phase out of the way, but you can also build some more muscle underneath. So then when you go into a fat loss phase in January, more of it is revealed and shows better. Another reason is, I kind of already touched on, you can get used to this process of tracking your food, your steps, all this stuff. You can get used to this before dealing with the physiological hunger. So that's a big benefit. So I'll go to the next one. You also can make more quote unquote mistakes during this phase, and it doesn't make that big of a difference because it's not about perfection. It's just about slowly getting more consistency and learning, how to track your food and getting more consistent with your workouts. Like, you can have a day or two that is, a few hundred calories lower or a few hundred calories higher. And if it's happening every here and there, it's not going to impact your results that much when it comes to like maintaining your weight. Those big fluctuations where some days you're 300 calories more than your goal, some days are 300 calories lower, those fluctuations will impact fat loss much more. So you kind of have a little bit more leeway to make mistakes during times where like it's easier to make mistakes. So like with Thanksgiving, Christmas Eve, Christmas Day, and I say mistakes, and I hate using that term actually now that I say it, but what I mean is just like not necessarily hitting the target as exact. When we're in a fat loss phase, you want to have this approach of like, okay, I have these habits dialed in. I know how to be consistent. I've learned that skill. I'm just going to get in, deal with, slightly lower calories for 5 to 6 days of the week. And then I'm going to achieve some fat loss over the next couple months, and I'm going to get out and maintain it. And if I have to push for another fat loss phase, I will. But it's more of a get in, get out mentality, because you shouldn't be in a fat loss phase forever. You shouldn't be in a fat loss phase for multiple months at a time. But when it comes to maintenance in this first phase over these next couple of months that you can have and through the priming phase, you have a little bit more flexibility to where you don't have to be as dialed in, because this is kind of like the approach you're going to take to kind of maintain these results for the rest of your life. Like it's this maintenance level, like in this flexibility with your food intake. If you're a couple hundred calories higher, it's not a big deal. If you're a couple hundred calories lower, not a huge deal here and there. That's more of the approach that like you're actually gonna live your life with, versus with a fat loss phase, you're kind of being more deliberate of like, I want to make sure I'm in this range because I want to make sure, I squeak out some fat loss today. So this phase in the beginning, like building these habits in this priming phase, gives you more wiggle room to make more mistakes. So what better time to make these mistakes than when like these mistakes are more likely to be made? So next point is that, and this is probably the most obvious one, is that you can start ahead of the game when it comes to, your weight loss. If you have a goal of wanting to lose 20 pounds and you're going to have to spend a 1 to 2 month period building these habits, going through a priming phase, building your metabolism up, building your calories up, and then it's going to take you, let's say, 6 months to lose those 20 pounds, you can start this process ahead of time. And instead of achieving your 20-pound weight loss goal by, let's say, August, you can achieve it by June instead. So the obvious one is saving yourself time, but also it's going to allow you to just be a little bit more focused without like killing yourself by keeping your calories lower, to where you can maintain your weight over the holiday season. Actually, I can't tell you how many times I've had conversations with you all where every year you're always gaining 5 pounds, or every year maybe you're even gaining up to 10 pounds during the holidays. And every year when New Year's starts, you go into your New Year's resolution, and instead of like making progress from where you were in October, you're having to like make up and lose some of the weight first that you lost in November, December, and then you finally get to making some like newfound progress you had in October, or from the October point you were at. Where if you just focus on consistently working out, consistently getting steps in, eating around maintenance, good habits with your food, and hitting enough protein, you're probably going to maintain your weight pretty well. To where now, like when you go into January and start your fat loss phase, from there, you're going to be at the same point that you were in, right now or in October. And like that's all going to be new weight loss versus having to wait or lose weight that you had gained in November, December, just because you had this like effort mentality when you didn't need to have that mindset. And then the last point with this is that paying attention to your nutrition, making quote unquote good nutrition choices, focusing on higher protein, fruits and vegetables, walking, getting daily activity, working out, strength training 3 to 4 times a week. These are all things that should be part of your life anyway, regardless of if you are trying to lose fat or not. A lot of people have this mentality where, okay, well, like I want to achieve fat loss or weight loss, so now I'm going to work out, I'm going to walk, I'm going to eat fruits and vegetables, I'm going to eat healthy and all this stuff. And then when they're not focusing on fat loss, they don't work out, they don't walk, they don't eat healthy, and all of these habits go out the window. Where all these habits should stay in your life, even if you are in a maintenance phase or if your primary goal isn't losing body fat right now, they should still stay in your life. It's just the calorie intake level of things should change. Maybe a little bit your step count. I like to increase the step count a little bit for clients when they go into a fat loss phase to just get a little bit more movement in. But for the most part, like all of these habits should stay, and it's literally just manipulating your calorie intake from there that gets the fat loss moving forward. So if you expect to like lose weight in 2025 or lose body fat in 2025 and be able to maintain it, next Christmas, next Thanksgiving, next holiday season, if you want to actually maintain your results, you will have to learn how to walk, how to stay active, how to work out, how to pay attention to nutrition, eat enough protein. You'll have to learn how to do all this stuff during the holiday season anyway. So why not get those growing pains out of the way now? Why not start learning how to actually do these things now during the holiday season? Because you're going to have to learn regardless, unless you want to keep going down that yo-yo cycle or that road of, losing weight in the, early winter and spring, kind of maintaining it over the summer maybe, and then gaining it back, in the winter and fall, only to have to restart that process. You want to avoid that. You have to learn how to have these habits of working out, nutrition, activity, all this stuff in your life regardless. They don't have to be as dialed in as you are in a fat loss phase. They can be a little bit more flexible. Like I said, you can make quote unquote more mistakes when you're in maintenance, and it's fine. But these baseline habits do have to be in place anyway if you want to see results and if you want to keep them, if you want this to be a part of your life. So why delay that process? So those are just a variety of reasons, and I'm sure I could think of more if I, sat here and had a conversation with you or took some more notes, but those are the big ones. So, if you're debating on getting started with something now or January, whether it's one-on-one coaching, the collective, or even your journey on your own, start now. You will be so happy in January when the only change you have to make is, okay, what slight calorie adjustment do I have to make to initiate a fat loss phase? And you don't have to worry about, okay, what's my workout plan going to look like? How many steps do I have to get? How am I going to incorporate walking in my day? How am I going to incorporate these nutrition changes as far as the types of foods I'm eating with, higher protein, more fruits and vegetables? When all those things are already figured out and all it is a slight calorie tweak, your fat loss phase goes way more seamless. You don't feel like you're failing anymore. And it becomes just such a, underwhelming process versus what you've tried in the past. So hopefully this was helpful and eye-opening. I appreciate you all, and I will see you guys in the next one.